Today, we are diving into one of the most incredible ideas in all of science, neuroplasticity. And look, it's not just some fancy, complicated word. It's actually a user's manual for how you can literally rewire your own brain. Let's get into it.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're just stuck in a loop? You know, the same anxious thought that just keeps popping up, or that same knee-jerk reaction you have, or that one habit you just can't seem to kick. When you're feeling burned out or totally overwhelmed, it can really feel like your brain is just set in stone. Like this is just who you are now. But what if that wasn't true at all?
Well, here's the crucial idea. Your brain isn't a fixed thing, like a stone. It's not set in its ways forever. The best way to think about it is like a garden. It's a living, changing system that's constantly responding to what you do. It's a place where things grow, and believe it or not, you have a huge say in what actually thrives there. All right, so let's explore this garden, right? We're going to look at this simple science that actually proves you have this incredible ability to change, to cultivate your own mental landscape. Okay, so that scientific name for this superpower is neuroplasticity. It sounds really complex, I know, but all it really means is that your brain physically changes itself based on your experiences. The things you repeatedly do and feel and think, they literally rewire its structure. You've probably heard this phrase, and honestly, it sums up the science perfectly. Neurons that fire together wire together. See, every single time you repeat an action or a thought, the brain cells involved, your neurons, they fire a signal. And the more they fire that signal at the same time, the stronger their connection gets. They literally wire themselves together. And this is the perfect way to picture how a habit gets formed. Imagine you're walking through a field of really tall grass. The very first time, it's tough, right? You've got to push your way through. But what if you walk that exact same path every single day? Well, the grass gets trampled down, a clear trail starts to form, and pretty soon it's the easiest, most automatic way to go. That's a neural pathway. So if we actually want to make a change, the very first step is to just look at the garden exactly as it is right now. We're going to assess the landscape and identify those habits that might have gotten a little overgrown. Just picture it for a second. Your mental garden. It's been growing for years. Some plants, maybe ones that were useful for survival at some point, have just gotten huge. And now they're blocking all the sun. And meanwhile, all these other, more delicate little plants are really struggling to get the light they need to grow. And we can even give these overgrown plants some names. Maybe you've got an overthinking vine that just wraps itself around everything. Or maybe a self-doubt bush that's taken over an entire corner of the garden. The point here is not to feel bad about them. The only reason they're there is because they've been watered for a really long time through sheer repetition. And now for the really practical part. Step 2 is all about pruning. Now, this isn't about violently ripping things out of the ground. No, it's about careful, gentle trimming that weakens those unhelpful pathways so we can make space for some new growth. And this is so important to get. Pruning in your brain is not about fighting with your thoughts or trying to delete them. It's actually much simpler than that. It's about paying them less attention. When you stop walking down that old, worn-out path, it just slowly starts to grow over. The connections between those neurons literally get weaker. So here's the how-to. It's a super simple 3-step process. First, you just have to notice the old thought or the old habit when it shows up. Second, you interrupt that automatic response. Just create a tiny little pause. And third, you choose to do something just slightly different. That's the whole move. Okay, so what does this actually look like in real life? Let's say that old self-critical thought pops into your head. Instead of just believing it, you can just label it. Ah, there's that self-criticism vine again. Or you feel that powerful urge to procrastinate? Just pause. Don't immediately grab your phone. Maybe just open the document you need to work on. That's the interruption. The most important thing is you don't argue with the thought. You just stop watering it with your focus. Okay, so pruning makes the space. But now we need to plant something new there. This is the proactive part, the creative part, where we intentionally start to grow new, helpful neural pathways. But again, we have to be realistic here. You're not going to plant a fully grown oak tree. That's just not how it works. Real change starts with a tiny seed. The real work, and honestly, the real magic, is in watering that little seed consistently, day after day after day. So what are these seeds? Well, they're tiny micro-habits. For example, after you finish a task, just say one kind thing to yourself. That's it. You're watering a self-compassion seed. Or instead of waiting for that perfect 2-hour block of time to work, just do 5 focus minutes.
You're building a new focus pathway. Feeling overwhelmed? Go for a 10-minute walk. That's a brand new path for managing stress.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. At first, these tiny little actions might feel completely pointless. Your brain is going to tell you this is way too small to make a difference. But the actual science of neuroplasticity says the complete opposite. Small, consistent actions are exactly what fuel this entire process of change. It's not pointless, it's the whole point.
And all of this, all of it, leads to this really powerful conclusion. You are not just some random visitor in this garden, subject to whatever happens to grow there. No way. You are the gardener. You have the ability to take charge of your own mental landscape.
So please, if you feel stuck, remember this. You are not failing. You're simply looking at a garden that grew based on years of your experiences and your survival strategies. And some of those strategies, they might not serve you anymore, but they helped you get here. And the best news of all is that you can pick up your tools and start tending to that garden today. So that brings us to the end, and I want to leave you with a question. Thinking about your own mental garden, what is just one vine, one old habit that you can decide to stop watering with your attention? And maybe more importantly, what one tiny new seed are you willing to plant and to water starting today?